Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to WBE Season 3 Week 9 Heat of the Week. My name is Chris Kobain, and this week is a really good one. We've got some power going on this week. We've got 3 different Pokemon on this list who netted at least 4 kills for their respective coaches. One of which killed the whole team, which the whole opposing team, obviously, which most of you probably already know what that is. Spoilers like that, I suppose. We've also got a little bit of an interesting theme to this week. There are 3 different movesets this week that the movesets themselves aren't necessarily heat-based. But the moments they were involved in I think were fire heat enough to get them onto the list this week. You'll see those as we come along, and in fact, the one I already talked about is one of those, honestly. But they're still really good. I like them a lot, and you'll see my individual reasoning for each one as to why I decided to put them on the list. But it's a good one. I had a really tough time deciding between number 1 and number 2. I knew my number 1 and my number 2 immediately. I just needed to know which order they went in. I decided in the end. I think it's a good decision, and I'll explain why. I know people disagree, as they're bound to, but I'll give you my reasoning either way. So with that out of the way, let's get some honorable mentions. And I don't normally do honorable mentions. I like to make a note of other stuff sometimes, but we got a couple honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list this week. First off, we've got Mr. Talent and his Defiant fully physical Empoleon set that he built this week that I thought was really cool. It had Defog, Earthquake, Aqua Jet, and I forget the last move. I didn't actually write it down, but it was built to come in and fight Crobat, take Defog from Crobat, and use that to get his Defiant boost to get that +2 attack, and then go off from there. Unfortunately, he was facing K-Cray, and she just didn't have or didn't ever use Defog the entire match, so Talent had Rock set up literally the entire game, and Defog never happened, and the Empoleon ended up dying kind of early to a Drain Punch Mimikyu. And our second and our final honorable mention of this week goes to Cybertron and his Trick Room Nasty Plot Aromatisse. I felt like it could have put in a lot of work. It had Psychic as well, and Moonblast was its full set. I thought it was a really nice set. Unfortunately, it was completely dunked on by Clear Smog Amoonguss, which I don't even think was being run for the Aromatisse, excuse me. To be honest, I think he was running it for other reasons, and it just so happened that Clear Smog was the best move to click against Aromatisse for obvious reasons. He did it. It stuffed the Nasty Plot. Feels bad, and after that, the Aromatisse didn't get to do much other than doing a pretty decent chunk of damage to Tapu Fini later in the match. But they both definitely deserved a note, just didn't quite make the actual 6. So without further ado, let's jump in to number 6 this week, and we're starting off, you see it on the thumbnail already, it's Skarmory, and I'm sure some people were like, Jesus, not again. But this Skarmory actually was really cool. It makes number 6 this week because the plan that Dan had for it didn't actually come to fruition. But we're looking at Weak Armor and Rocky Helmet with 244 HP, 116 attack, and 140 HP with that Infant Nature, Iron Head, Brave Bird, Roost, and Stealth Rock. So this is one of those where the moveset itself isn't exactly out of this world. But the set is actually really nice. This thing was built to stuff and take advantage of Mega Beedrill, which I thought was a really nice touch. It was built to come in, obviously take either a U-turn or a knockoff or whatever the case may be from the Beedrill itself, and pop that Weak Armor, boosting or lowering its defense and boosting its speed. And then it was supposed to go off offensively from there. After it was boosted +1 and outsped everything on the opposing team except for obviously the Beedrill and anything that had to be Scarfed, but it was built to be able to 2-hit Tyrantrum with Iron Head after being speed boosted. Obviously Tyrantrum's not going to do anything that's going to one-shot Skarmory. Even Strong Jaw Thunderfang wouldn't do the work. And it was actually built to one-shot. You see that minimal attack, the attack EVs there is to guarantee that Emboar gets one-shot by Brave Bird after Stealth Rocks, which of course it has, and it is faster than all variants of Emboar save for a Scarfed one at +1. So that's really good. I liked it a lot. So this is not your basic standard, even though the moveset itself is kind of normal, even though you don't really see Iron Head out for what it's worth all that often, or really ever, really. But it was more of an offensive-based Skarmory this week, built to take advantage of Beedrill and use weak armor to set up its speed and start doing work. It did end up netting 2 kills for Dan this week, both of them passive, not direct, beating the Tyrantrum with Rocky Helmet, and then later, after it had already been taken out, beating the Kecleon with Stealth Rocks before going, and it ended up going down to a Shadow Ball. But the reason it's number 6 is because Beedrill just didn't show up. Obviously, it was because of Skarmory. No one wants to bring in Beedrill against a Skarmory. It's completely worthless. To be honest with you, there's really no reason. So he built differently. So, but Skarm, I felt like the weak armor idea and the offensive power behind it that it was supposed to be, I felt like it was good enough to make it number 6, and so it did. Number 5, this one. This one, I have no problem telling you guys that this one is super biased. Like, hardcore. It's Blaziken, baby. So, this is coming from my man Iron Boffin and his Choro Chest of Rhydons, one of my favorite people in the entire world. I love you to death, man. And Blaziken, straight up, period, is my favorite Pokemon of all time. So I have no problem telling you that this one's pretty biased. But I do like this a lot. We're running Blaze, obviously, no Speed Boost, excuse me, with that Fire MZ. 252 attack, 12 special defense, 244 speed with that Adamant Nature. And agility, he is built to be faster. He was going up against Duncan for what it's worth. He was built to be faster than Duncan's entire team. Post agility, I think including, no, probably not actually. I was going to say including Scarf Jirachi, but I don't think it'd be faster than that. I don't remember Blaziken's base speed. Agility, Flare, Blitz, High Jump, King, Custodian. Now that moveset, it's another one of the moveset itself is not actually crazy. Though to be fair, I've literally never seen Blaziken used competitively before. So technically the set could be heat because I've never seen it. And I'm sure very few of you have actually seen it since it's not very good. But still, I have no problem telling you guys this is a biased one on the list. It's number 5. It's low because the moveset isn't that crazy. But I still felt like, even with the bias, I do feel like that this set did deserve a spotlight on the week for what it did. It was able to set up an agility on Mega Tyranitar, which Boffin had figured out the entire moveset, or almost the entire moveset on it. It had already used Ice Beam and Flamethrower, I think, earlier in the match, so he was thinking it was a specially based one, that it wasn't going to be rocking Earthquake. It was not. So he felt like Blaziken was safe. He set up agility on it successfully. Then he was able to kill Mega Tyranitar with Flare Blitz because it was low. Zygarde 10% with a high jump kick right after that. Blacephalon with Stone Edge right after that. Both the high jump kick and the Stone Edge hit. And then the Jirachi finally with Z Flare Blitz to net 4 kills. Told you guys 3 sets this week, got 4 kills. This is the first of them. To net himself 4 kills, but not only 4 kills against some high tier Pokemon. Mega T-Tar, OU, I'm pretty sure. I don't know where Zydoge is, but I know it's got to be at least UU. Blacephalon, obviously, and then Jirachi. 4 very high tiered Pokemon, 4 Pokemon that are deemed way more relevant than Blaziken competitively. And he was able to clear through them with very little resistance on the way to Boffin picking up a win against Duncan. Boffin's had a pretty rough season, but he's a good battler, and he was able to use this Blaziken set to perfection to get himself a win against Duncan. Very well done. You guys might not like this one a lot. I'm understanding that, but I needed it on. I just needed it. I needed to talk about Blazing. Sorry, it had to happen. Going into number 4. So last week we had Tup, who had his entire team essentially be number 1. We represented it with the Klefki, but I told you guys that basically his entire team would be considered number 1. This week is the first time that one coach has 2 separate spots on the list. We have not done that yet. I try to steer clear of that, and I did think about either putting the Empoleon or the Aromatisse on the list instead of this week and just giving it a mention when I got to his other Pokemon. But honestly, I wanted to show the battle video of it, to be honest with you. So we decided to put it on the list, or I decided to put it on the list. So coming in at number 4, his first of 2 spots this week, it's going to be Wolfie Glip going up against Pokemon, his Milwaukee Bewares, and my boy Tornadus Therian, one of my favorite Pokemon in the world. I absolutely love this thing. He's obviously going Regenerator. We've got max HP and max speed. Nothing crazy there. 4 special defense. Timid, Hurricane, Knockoff, Taunt, and Toxic. Again, you're looking at the moveset. It's not that out there. But what were the entire reason this thing's on the list is that item that I did not mention, the Eject button. Which actually, I haven't competitively battled seriously in quite a long time. And I'm sure there are people out there who are already aware of this. But this thing taught me something about Pokemon I never knew. And I've been playing Pokemon for a long time. So when I learn something new about Pokemon, it's a pretty big deal for me. So the eject button is a really, really clever idea built to have Tornadus eject out, obviously, when taking damage, and allow him to switch for free into something else. And this worked out to absolute perfection, as Wolf and John at the same time made switches on the same turn. We had Tornadus come in on Wolf's side, and Pokemon dropped in Diggersby. So it's the one-on-one. And then Wolfie decides to stay in on it, hoping and praying that the Diggersby is scarfed and wants the momentum out with U-turn. That's exactly what happened. Scarf Diggersby comes through, outspeeds the Tornadus, hits it with the U-turn, and pops that eject button, which allows a absolutely free switch in for Wolf into his sub Swords Dance Excadrill. But the thing I learned, I did not know. The eject button's not very common in regular competitive battling. Obviously, I did not know this. Apparently, if you eject button out of a Pokemon who used U-turn or Volt Switch, the switching mechanic of those 2 moves is neutralized. It does not happen anymore. You cannot make the switch. I had no idea that was the case. Something I learned completely brand new this week. So the Diggersby outspeeds, hits the U-turn, the Tornadus ejects out into sub Swords Dance Excadrill, and now you're sitting in front of a choice Scarf Diggersby locked into U-turn who can do absolutely nothing to this setup Excadrill. And it was awesome. Amazing set. Taught me something new. The Excadrill was able then obviously to set up Substitute for free and then Swords Dance and put in a little bit of work, not a lot. He ended up getting stopped fairly early after getting set up and everything. But it was an awesome play, an awesome moment, something I did not know. I'm sure some people here didn't know it, but I'm positive quite a few of you probably were already aware of that. But it was such a cool moment. It had to make the list. And that is his first of 2. You will see the other one later, though I'm sure you guys, if you've seen the match, already know who it is. So let's jump into the top half of the list this week with number 3. Number 3 this week goes to Patters and his Newcastle Nido Kings for his Mega Gyarados. So the Gyarados this week obviously Intimidate, and that boosts into Mold Breaker when he Mega Evolves with the Gyarados. 164 HP and attack, 4 defense, 4 special defense, 172 speed with that adamant nature. And we got Waterfall, Crunch, Earthquake, and the reason he's on the list this week is Hurricane. One of those moves that I had no idea Gyarados got. Gyarados has an immensely massive special move pool for no particular reason. He gets Fire Blast, he gets Thunder, he gets Blizzard, and apparently he gets Hurricane, which I was not aware of. And the Hurricane this week was built to go up against Poke-Aim's Breloom, and that's exactly what happened. Nothing more to it. Very, very simple. Hurricane was built to fight the Breloom, and that's what happened at some point during the match. Joey switched into Breloom against the Gyarados, already being aware it had Hurricane. He had missed Hurricane earlier in the match, but he made a risk, switched in, and Patters was able to make a good prediction. Click Hurricane, and that one-shot the Breloom. Very good. Ice Fang would not be strong enough to one-shot a Breloom, obviously, and then after that, after the Breloom got in already, then you have to fear Mach Punch, which is going to do all sorts of damage with Technician to Mega Gyarados. But no need to worry about it. Hurricane one-shots it. That's very simple. There's not much more to say about it. It's a cool idea, very cool concept, and worked perfection for Patters this week. And definitely deserves a spot on the list. No questions asked. So that brings us to number 1 and number 2. So like I said, I had a time. Both Pokemon that you're going to see now, both of them were number 1 at one point or another. And I'll give you my reasoning when we get to number 1, why I decided to make it number 1. But based off what I've said already, that one Pokemon is from Wolfie and the other Pokemon got 6 kills. You guys already know the two. If you've seen the matches this week, you guys don't have to worry about it. So number 2 this week is going to be, drumroll, Kabutops. We decided on Kabutops for number 2 this week. So I know there are already people like, wow, this deserved number 1. And you're right, it may have. I think both number 2 and number 1 this week had a very, very fair shot to actually be number 1 on the list this week. But when I get to number 1, I will show you guys, or I'll tell you guys exactly why I opted to make it number 1. But looking at the Kabutops this week, we've got weak armor with the weakness policy, 252 HP, 252 attack, which is a super bulky version of Kabutops, which I like a lot. 4 speed, that adamant nature with Swords Dance, Liquidation, Low Kick, and Aqua Jet. And this is the Pokemon that netted all 6 kills for Poke-Aim against Patters and the Nidokings. Just absolutely dominated. The EV spread, while basic at 252 is very well done. It's built to live Earthquake from Adamant Mega Gyarados. It is also built to outspeed Tapu Koko after a singular weak armor boost. 2 separate weak armor Pokemon this week. And then it's rocking Jet for Scarf Terrakion, and I think Scarf Delphox as well. And it also lives Earthquake from Hippowdon and Snorlax at the same time. All those things obviously are popping its weakness policy. And this makes the list this week just for pure domination. On top of the fact that the moment it set up was really, really nice. It did exactly what he wanted to do. He was up against the Gyarados, obviously the Hurricane Mega Gyarados I've already showed you, which used Earthquake on it. A typically offensive Kabutops is definitely dying to an Earthquake from a Mega Gyarados, but with that max HP investment, he was able to live the Earthquake with very minimum health. I think he was at like 10% after that, or maybe a little more than that. And then all at the same time, the Earthquake popped its weak armor, it popped his weakness policy, and Joey clicked Swords Dance all at the same time, boosting his speed by 1 and his offense by 4 in one fell swoop, thanks to the weak armor and then the weakness policy and the Swords Dance all at the same time. And at that point, it was over. Patters just didn't have anything left or anything at all in his entire team to be able to handle a Kabutops that much. Joey had done a great job in the match of whittling things down just enough to where Kabutops wouldn't have an issue with them, to where Aqua Jet would be able to kill. And after the boost, it was pretty much over. He one hits Delphox with Aqua Jet. Well, actually, he one-shot Delphox with Aqua Jet earlier in the match. That wasn't even after he boosted, but he boosted off the Earthquake, pops weak armor, weakness policy, Swords Dance at the same time, kills Gyarados with Low Kick, Escavalier with +4 liquidation, Terrakion with Aqua Jet not to risk the Scarf, Tapu Koko with Aqua Jet again just to be safe, and then Snorlax with Aqua Jet as well because he was already kind of low and didn't want to risk like a Chobble Bear and the Snorlax living. He already calced and knew that the +4 Aqua Jet had guaranteed kill. Did it, all 6 kills at one point or another, including 5 in a row after he'd set up. The set itself is not super crazy because this is kind of the moveset you expect from the Kabutops anyway. But definitely the moment of him setting up everything at once, all at the same time, and then popping off with 5 kills and 6 overall, definitely nets him a spot on this week. He was number 1. I almost had him number 1, but at the very end, you guys already know what it is, or most of you do anyway. The second Pokemon on the list this week, and number 1 coming in this week for the Milwaukee Brewers and Wolfie Glick, it's going to be Mega Blastoise. And so this one's kind of interesting. This one had quite a moment for me when I was getting my Heat of the Week submissions this week. Both the sets that Wolfie got on the list this week were submitted. He submitted the Tornadus with the eject button, and he submitted the Blastoise as well. However, he actually didn't really mention anything about what the Pokemon had done. He had mentioned that what the eject button was for, and he had mentioned how the Stoise was supposed to set up, but he didn't actually say what they did. And at first, literally this Blastoise wasn't even on the list. I had opted to completely ignore the fact that he submitted it because a set almost identical to this made Heat of the Week not that long ago. In fact, it might have been Mega. I'm not sure if it was Mega Blastoise or regular. I can't remember. But it was almost an identical set. It had the Aqua Jet, it had the workup, and it ended up killing. I remember at least it killed Nihilego with Aqua Jet at one point, doing Assault Vest one where Water Pulse was doing nothing, and Aqua Jet did about 50%. So because of that, and because it was so similar, nearly identical to the one from a couple of weeks ago, I actually just completely ignored it and wasn't going to put it on the list, and just figured that his Tornadus would make it alone. But then I watched the match, because I put together the list after the matches are watched, and this thing absolutely dominated, and it had to make the list. So Rain Dish, which obviously jumps into Mega Launcher upon Mega Evolution, max HP, max attack, 4 special attack, with that Brave Nature plus attack and minus speed. With Aqua Jet, Dark Pulse, Work Up, and Substitute. And just like the Kabutops and just like the Blaziken earlier, this thing went absolutely off. This thing was built to set up and destroy Vaporeon from Pokemon again, which is exactly what it did. It was able to come in on Vaporeon, set up Substitute on Vaporeon as it could not do anything. No Toxic. Scald wasn't doing nothing. After that, he was allowed to set up Work Up 3 different times to get himself to +3 attack and special attack, and then take out the Vaporeon with multiple Dark Pulses. At the very end, when Vaporeon was taken out, the Blastoise had, I wrote it down, 4 HP. 4 HP and Substitute active when the Vaporeon went down. So barely got through the Vaporeon, set up exactly like he wanted to do. He lost his Substitute on the very next turn to Salamence, but was able to take it out with Dark Pulse. The Ments had like 75% health or so. So Dark Pulse was barely a kill. It was a roll, I believe. He was able to get it with Dark Pulse, and then Aqua Jet at +2 bopped Alakazam in one hit, 100% damage. Bopped Diancie, Mega Diancie for that matter, and then bopped Diggersby. All at the same time, one after another, to net himself 4 or 5? 5 with the Vaporeon. Another Pokemon with at least 4, and this time 5 kills. And put himself at number 1. So the reason that I put Stoice number 1 this week instead of the Kabutops, I'll put them back and forth, is just because, to me, I think the actual moveset that Blastoise is running is more quote-unquote heat than the Kabutops set. Because Kabutops is already known for being a Swords Dance sweeper a lot of the time, whether it's... normally, I guess it's rain-based. Normally it's a Swift Swim-based Swords Dance. So the weakness policy and the weak armor thing is a little different than what Kabutops is normally known for, but the moves themselves are things that you've come to expect from Kabutops. You expect Swords Dance, you expect Aqua Jet. Low Kick is definitely something he runs from time to time depending on the opponent's team. But the Blastoise, I like the moveset more in terms of the Pokemon. I love the sub workup to take advantage of Vaporeon. Obviously, Vaporeon doesn't do anything. The only moves it ever runs that are going to do something to Blastoise are Scald, Ice Beam, and Toxic, which all of them are stuffed by Substitute. And then the double, the mixed attack moveset with the Aqua Jet and the Dark Pulse. Only making use of Mega Launcher with a Dark Pulse, no Water Pulse, no Scald, no nothing like that. I felt like the set itself, the moveset itself, was more heat than the Kabutops set, so that's why I decided to put it at number 1. But make no mistake, both of these sets were absolutely brilliant from each individual coach. Very, very well done. Definitely the top 2 on the list, no question, going into this week. Well, Blastoise is what I put at number 1. So, of course, as always, you guys are going to have disagreements. I expect everyone to. Some people are going to think that Kabutops should have been number 1. Some people are going to agree that Stoice should have been number 1 over Kabutops. Leave your comments down below as per usual. If there was a set that I did not mention this week, as I'm sure there's 1 or 2 of them that you guys thought should at least get an honorable mention, go ahead and post the set down below so everyone can take them out or take a look at them. But that's the list of this week. I think it's a good one. Thank you guys for watching. We got a post note this week real quick. I will not be able to do Heat of the Week for Week 10, next week's Heat. I'm not able to do it. I'm leaving the house on Saturday. This Saturday, I think the 17th, the day that the Week 10 match is going to be uploaded. And I will not be returning home for more than a week. I'm not going to be back until either Sunday night or Monday morning the next week. So I'll be gone for like 8 to 9 days. So obviously, since I will not be at the house, I'll have no ability to even watch the matches unless I watch them on my phone, let alone, get the list, record the video, edit the video, and then get it uploaded. No way. So I just want you guys to know that do not expect a week 10 heat of the week. Even if I get back really late for week 11, even though I get back like Monday night, which I shouldn't, but you know, in the case of something goes wrong, and I don't get back till Monday night, I will do my best to get week 11 uploaded, even if I have to watch every single match, and do the video and upload it and everything in one day. Even if I do that all on Tuesday, then I will do it. And depending on how things go, I might put in a word about week 10 or what would have made number 1 on week 10 if I see it. But I don't know if I'll be able to watch the matches at all next week, unfortunately. No promises there. But in any case, we should be back for week 11. But I just wanted you guys to be aware that you should not be expecting a heat of the week for week 10. At any point, thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. And I will see you guys at the very least for week 11 heat of the week. All right? All right, peace out, guys.